Hi guys, and welcome back to class. From last night's homework, you were supposed to have read Act 3, Scene 2, lines 124 through 226 in A Midsummer Night's Dream. And you were supposed to have annotated for unknown words that you did not know. So if you're reading this play and you do not understand a word, we always make sure that we look in our dictionary to determine the meaning of the words and then go back and substitute those definitions into the play or into the paragraph that you're reading. Based off of the homework, I want you guys to share down in the discussion board with your fellow classmates any words and the definitions that you identified through your reading. So for example, this is just some of them. One word that was in the passage was scorn, and it was in Act 3, Scene 2, line 124. And scorn is a noun, and it means a feeling of hatred for someone or something thought of as a worthless or evil. So this is what you're going to have. So I want the word, I want the citation, as well as the definition and the part of speech. So scorn is a noun. Moving on to this lesson for today, our focusing question is, what makes love complicated? And our content framing question in our organized stage says, what's happening in Act 3, Scene 2? And in our craft question in our experiment stage, it says, how does distinguishing alternate claims work? So let's go ahead and get started. So first, I want us to start to summarize. So you're going to gain an overall understanding of Act 3, Scene 2 by summarizing both of the events of the scene. You're also going to look at those events and see how they're being conveyed. I want you to continue to consider how language use and specific word choice can help us better understand what's happening in the play. Because remember, when someone is writing and they are placing certain words in word choices inside of their writing, they're doing that for a specific reason. That means that they're trying to convey a specific message. So moving forward, today you guys are going to be working on handout 20A, which is figurative language and word relationship questions. Now we've done this before, so let's have a look at the handout that you guys are going to be doing. So in here, you are going to be assigned a group. So you can see here you have group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. For those of you who are online, I will assign you one or two of the groups, and you are going to answer the questions from the text that you've read today. So for example, the first question says, review the definition of woo. We've talked about this before. It should have been recorded in your vocabulary journal. What does Lysander mean when he tells Hermia he would not woo in scorn? What does he mean by that? So remember that scorn was one of the words that we just discussed. That should have been one of the words that you addressed in your homework from last night. You're going to complete the questions that are assigned to you and then go ahead and attach that document into Schoology for grading. Then I want you to ask yourself, how do these uses of scorn, the specific part of speech used and its meaning, make the conversation between the lovers more complicated? And how does an examination of figurative language and word relationship help you understand what is happening in Act 3, Scene 2? We're also going to create a social media profile. I want you to reread Act 3, Scene 2, lines 124 through 126. You're going to use this passage to create your social media profile. Now, in your profile, you want to let us know who is the character in love with, who is in love with them, what does this character want, how does this character feel about their situation, who is this character angry with, and who is angry with them. I want you to write this using modern language. So that's how we speak today in today's world, not like Shakespeare. What are the different ways that you could collect evidence to complete this social media task? You can pick one of the 4 lovers. So that's either Hermia, Lysander, Demetrius, or Helena. So you are creating a social media profile summarizing key details about one character from Act 3, Scene 2. Now moving on to our craft question in our writing portion of our lesson. Our craft question in our experiment stage says, how does distinguishing alternate claims work? You will now consider how to distinguish a claim from an alternate claim. So let's look at some of these sentence stems. What does alternate mean? Alternatively, one might claim that blank, which is similar to my claim because, or similarly, one could claim that blank, which supports my claim because, or my claim is and related could be made that, and my claim is blank, and much the same, one might claim that. So the way that these sentences are structured, these are called transitions. It's basically setting up you to talk about what your claim is and then introducing a second claim. So this would be a sentence where you would introduce your claim first and then introduce a claim that's similar to the claim that you just proposed. And this is how you would write that using transitions. So let's look at Helen Fisher's claim. Helen Fisher claims that romantic love is like a bad habit. How is this claim an alternative to Fisher's main claim? So Helen Fisher says that romantic love is a bad habit, but how does this sentence compare to her alternative claim? So that means you need to go back and look at what her first claim was and how that one is similar or different compared to this one. Using one of the sentence stems, I want you to fill that in. To finish today's lesson in our organized stage, I want you to ask yourself what's happening in Act 3, Scene 2, and then students will choose a vocabulary word from Act 3, Scene 2 that best exemplifies the events and write an exit ticket explaining why you chose that particular word that is describing the events that are taking place. For tonight's homework, I want you guys to read Act 3, Scene 2, lines 366 through 417, and annotate for key events that develop the lovers' conflict, and then also continue in your fluency homework. Now moving on into our vocabulary deep dive for today's lesson. Let's look at the morpheme con. We've looked at morphemes before, and the morpheme con means with, together, or jointly. So now, knowing what con means, what do you guys think that conjoined, conspired, and contrived mean? I want you to see if you can solve the meaning of these words by re-looking at Act 3, Scene 2, lines 197 through 202, where you will find these words and share out in the discussion board what do you think these words mean based off of knowing that con means with, together, or jointly. To end today's lesson in our vocabulary deep dive, I want you to complete a Connect Extend challenge. How does the meaning of con connect to the passage as a whole? How does your knowledge of con and the new words extend your understanding of the passage? And which parts of the passage are still challenging for you? Then I want you to think about, what do you think the word confederacy means? Then look at the words that are repeated in Act 3, Scene 2, lines 208 through 213. What word is repeated, and why might Helena repeat it here? All right, guys, that's going to be it for today's lesson. Once again, if you guys need any help, office hours are between 11:22 a.m. to 12:06 p.m. Monday through Friday. See you guys then. Bye-bye.